This is June 27, and today we are going to attempt to transform this entire garden with mulch of a couple sorts and some clover and a few other tricks. So I'll walk you through the whole process so you can see it on YouTube. Here we are on June 27th, and we are transforming our garden. Yesterday we came through and transplanted a little bit of our corn, but mostly just thinned our corn. So they should be about a foot apart. Maybe they're a little too close, but we like to keep a few extra on hand just in case. And Jonathan is just hoeing it one last time before we lay down some clover and perhaps some other cover crops to grow amongst the corn. We could use mulch, except that we don't have enough to do the entire farm, so cover crops are a wonderful thing to put on also. And you'll see here also tomatoes. We started mulching them down that other end, but we have them all mulched by the end of the day. And we have 2 rows of cucumbers here, and then 4 rows of summer squash. You see those pink tags? That's a group of students from Clark are testing around cucumber beetles. So they're doing some research, and they've planted some pigeon peas and hoping that they will help with ant issues, I think. I'm not sure exactly all the things that they're studying. And here's some arugula that is just now germinating. We're going to come in here on these pathways, this bed pathway here and this one all the way up. We're going to give a quick hoe to those and then just put cover crops on those too, probably mostly crimson clover. We have some green beans here, and then we have 2 beds of cabbage and 2 beds of broccoli. And for these, after we get them all, one last quick weed. We just planted them last week, so we'll just be a quick brush up on the weeding. We're going to put in some wood chips within the beds and clover in the pathways. So that's our plan for this particular field, a mix of resources to make sure that all the soil is covered everywhere on the field. This is our original home field, about a 1/4 acre. We put this garden in back in 1982. Here we are at 9:45. So another alternate view of our situation here. Jonathan has almost all of the corn completely weeded and weed free so that we can put down our cover crops and ensure success. And we have our last load of straw for this iteration. We just have to put it on these tomatoes and up there around those tomatoes, up to the corn, and we'll be on to our next phase. Okay, now we have all the corn weeded, and we have all of the cucumbers and tomatoes and squashes all mulched, and we're almost done hoeing through the arugula, beans, and brassicas. And Claire is spreading a little potassium sulfate on our this entire field here. It's going to be a good thing in the middle of the beginning of the summer to get a little extra fertility on the soil. I'm going to spread some cover crops in here in the corn. I have mostly crimson clover, and we have a little bit of buckwheat and a little bit of phacelia, which is a nice flowering plant. And these guys will come up under the corn, and there won't be any competition for it because it's going to grow really fast now. So it's just another way. In lieu of mulching, we're running a little short on our mulch. We'll still plant some of these cover crops and keep that soil covered and keep the photosynthesis coming. This particular part of the field has been a little bit under managed in terms of organic matter, so this will be a nice way to build it up. Cameron is heading off to get wood chips in the tractor bucket, and we're going to be pouring them onto these beds right here that Claire and Jonathan and I are hoeing. You see all these beautiful tiny little weeds that look so innocuous today, and they would be so tall by next week. So we're going to get these all out, and we're going to put some wood chips on it. This is something new that we're doing today. It seems to work really well. Just spread these chips right out around these plants, and we Gonna have a nice mulched area. It's happening very quickly also. Very nice to come up with a new way of doing things. Here is the finished product of all that work that we put into this field. It's about a 1/4 acre field. It was our original garden since 1982, and we've been growing things continuously in there all these years. How much is that? Was that 41 years or something? 42 years? 42 seasons? Anyway, I just wanted to go over all the things that we did in the last 2 weeks to get this ready. So we took the tarps off, I think on a Monday, probably. This is today's a Tuesday. Yeah, we took the tarps off this upper part and prepared all these beds, and first planted the arugula and the beans down there, and I'll show you them in a minute. They actually are germinating. And then over the course of earlier last week, we planted these 4 beds, 2 of broccoli and 2 of cabbage. And here the beans are up and the arugula is up, looking really good already. So that was area that was all under tarps 8 days ago. And then today we came through and carefully hoed and weeded these 6 beds here, and came through it then with several loads, tractor loads of these chips from over here, and put them in place around all these nice, very small brassicas. That's going to really set them up for success. We've had lots of rain over the last few days. And then as a finale, we put some clover seed in the pathways here. My goal is to keep the ground covered as much as possible everywhere on the farm. And clover will be a nice thing to walk on. You could have put chips down, but it's not very fun to walk on wood chips on your bare feet. And it'll bring nitrogen into the soil and beneficial insects, etc., etc. So that was what we did with this part of the field. And then this part of the field, we planted these squashes and cucumbers a long time ago. Probably, this is about the 27th of June, so probably about a month ago, we put in seedlings of these 4 beds of summer squash and 2 beds of cucumbers. And then we also put some tomatoes out here in the field. We have some over there, actually behind the peas that are on trellises, but these are just going to be field-grown tomatoes. And over the last few days, Thursday, yesterday, and today, we hoed, weeded, and then mulched with straw from our big straw pile. And then down here is the corn, which I think we planted that first, so maybe, very close to that same time in May. And yesterday came through and thinned it a little bit. And then today, hold it one more time, and then clover and the, I think, or 2 other cover crops that we put in here, just to give a little more phacelia, and buckwheat to just give a little more diversity here. This corn will grow up tall and it'll be able to handle all of those things. So very proud of this activity over the last, really culminating over the last week. Really some really hard work to get this whole area very clean and ready for the long term. And, just so everybody thinks that maybe our work is done, we have all this work over here to do. We'll get that going this week, the rest of this week.